Individually, I guess one kid that kind of hit me the hardest, just when they first come out of the gate, really locked in and good and focused. Young lady with this hair melted hog right here, she'll be a class winner. She just does a really good job of just staying focused, being aware of what's going on in the ring, having good eye contact, doing a good job of driving that gilt, and giving me some good looks at her. Keeps herself in some good spots at all times. I think gets a little closer there between second and third, but this young lady here, she'll end up being second. I think does a lot of those same things right as far as matching the intensity and the focus of our class winner there. Does a really good job of maintaining eye contact with me, keeping that hog's head nice and elevated, does a good job of those things. Maybe a couple of times just got into a couple of traffic jams, but I think she does a really outstanding job as well. Then this young man here will be third. I think does a really outstanding job as well. A good job as far as maintaining some good eye contact with me. I would just say sometimes maybe try and split your attention between me and that gilt. Kind of got into some bad spots, a little bit out away from me a couple times, but you do a really nice job. And then follow him up with this young man over here closer to the announcer's stand. He does a really good job as well. I guess that mare not willing to cooperate with him quite as much. Just maybe just focus on getting to where you can kind of guide him just a little bit better, keep his head elevated, keep him driving. Really good. He just told me to go dogs for him. And then this young lady here to round us out, doing a really great job. I think has a good future ahead of her. Just keep working on some of those fundamentals. Eye contact, staying where I can get a good look at that bear at all times. But let's give all these kids a hand. They do an outstanding job. A really outstanding job. Brings us a really nice and highly presented Barra out here, and he just really can tell spent a lot of time and experience with that project. I think just does an excellent job in terms of keeping that barrel's head elevated like it needs to, not using the whip too much, kind of letting it get out and go. Really good in terms of adjusting and giving me the views that I'm looking for, that he can tell that I'm looking for. Just does a really outstanding job. Next two young ladies are close, but we'll go ahead and use this young lady with the spotted up Barra. I think, like I said, close between those two. I think one that just especially from the beginning started out a little stronger and kind of maintained that. I think does a really good job in terms of keeping that Barra's head elevated. I think being aware of where she's at in the ring and using her space and being able to navigate that and not getting into a bad spot. I think just some kind of close things like that. Just sort of over the young lady in third. Young lady in third though still does a really outstanding job. Really good in terms of maintaining eye contact with me. Just a couple of times maybe split your attention a little better with me and that Barra. Sometimes got a little crossed up with some of the other hawks in the class, but I think did a really good job, and I think really kind of improved as the class went on. Young man that comes out next, one that this Barra just not wanting to cooperate with him quite as well. I think maybe just spending a little more time just kind of getting him used to being worked around the ring, keeping his head elevated, maintaining a little more eye contact with the judge, and just a little more awareness, but I think you do a good job as well. Young man with his guilt, kind of some similar things. I think, maybe just got out a little bit too far away from me. Didn't always have, best looks in that guilt all the time. And then this young man, Miss Barrett's come around out in the class, just kind of giving him a little bit of trouble. Just a little more time and patience with that thing, making him a little bit more cooperative. But let's give all those kids a big hand. They did a nice job.
Congratulations to our intermediate swan showmanship. In sixth place is Hayden Ross. He's East Jackson Middle FFA. In fifth place is Knox Golding, Jefferson Middle FFA. Fourth goes to Garrett Cox, Jackson Trail FFA. Third, Caitlin White, Jefferson Middle FFA. Second, Chloe Vaughn, Jefferson Middle FFA. And winning intermediate swan showmanship, Carson Page, Jefferson Middle FFA. Congratulations. Now entering the ring is our junior swine showmanship. These exhibitors are 9th and 10th graders. A Stockman's quiz competition going on from now until 10 o'clock in the morning. This is open to adults and kiddos. The winner will win $50. So if you will go back to the table, I think it's to the little right over here somewhere behind the scene where I can't see, and take a look and see how good you are at recognizing some of our industry equipment and other information. So again, the Stockman's quiz is going to be running until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And it's the Jackson County Young Farmers is sponsoring that tonight. Thank you very much.
that we have out here. This young man with the black gilts, he'll be the class winner. I think, like we talked about in some of his previous classes, just really does a good job just as soon as he comes out of the gate. Really aware of where he's at, does a really good job in terms of giving me some really good views of that gilt. Really like in terms of the pace that he drives her at, doesn't really overuse the whip, just kind of nice and calm and business-like in terms of how he does things, so he does a really nice job. Gets a little bit closer between second and third, and I think kind of going along with what I said there at the end, followed up with the young lady to come into second. I think one that really like in terms of just her eye contact and ring presence, really like how just kind of calm and poised that she is in terms of how she drives that hog around the ring. I think one that's probably a little more appropriate maybe the young man is going to be in third in terms of how much she uses the whip, not kind of overly aggressive with it or doing a little bit too much. But she does a really nice job. Young man that's going to be in third here does a really good job as well. Really likes this kind of intensity and focus. Can definitely tell that they spend a lot of time with that bear. Maybe just a few times getting just a little bit, maybe a little too amped up, a little too fast, and maybe overusing the whip just a little bit, and not just kind of letting him get out and go. But I think he does still a really good job as far as some other fundamental things. Young lady that's going to round out the class doing a great job out here as well. Just that bear not quite as one to cooperate with her as much. Maybe just work on some of those fundamentals a little bit more in terms of keeping his head up, driving at a good pace. But I think all those young people do a really good job. Let's give them a big hand.
Congratulations to our junior swan showman. In fourth place is Bethany Roberts from Jackson and Power FFA. Third, Connor Mims from Jefferson High FFA. Second, Kinsley Steele from Jefferson High FFA. And winning junior swan showmanship, Brooks Crane from Jefferson High FFA. Congratulations. Now entering the ring is our seniors. These are 11th and 12th grade exhibitors.
Here, I think this young man here in front of you will be your class winner. I think one that really just does a good job. I think just from start to finish with a lot of those fundamental things. I think I like just kind of how poised and calm that he is. One that I think does a really good job in terms of keeping that gilt's head front end elevated. Really good ring presence that young man has. I think really like just kind of the appropriate pace that he's able to set, and as he gets around the ring, does a really good job. You can tell he's a good, solid, experienced showman. Going to use the young lady for second. I think close between second and third. I think she's one that's maybe just a little bit more natural and just a little bit more poised in terms of how she gets around the ring. Probably a little more appropriate in terms of how she uses the whip. Not a lot of wasted movements, not anything that she does is distracting, just really kind of nice and natural in terms of the way that she gets out and goes. A couple times probably could maybe focusing on that gilt a little bit too much, could maintain a little bit more eye contact, but I still think does a really good job of some fundamentals, really calm and poised out here. Young man will round us out, doing a good job. I think sometimes I would tell you maybe just to slow down the pace a little bit slow down the pace a little bit, maybe using the whip a little bit more than I would like to see, and just kind of let that gilt get out and travel and show herself off. But I think all three of those young people do a good job. Let's give them a hand.
Congratulations to our senior showman. In third place is Brock Booth from Jefferson High FFA. Second goes to Brooklyn McLeish from Jefferson High FFA. And winning senior swan showmanship, Xander Roberts, Jackson and Power FFA. Congratulations. It is now time for our weight classes to begin. First in the ring is Class 1. These barrow crosses weigh 169 to 180 pounds.
A fairly comfortable place to start, though, this young lady's thin belted barra. One that really, I think, is the combination in this class in terms of how wide and square it is built. Good in terms of his chest width, really big and stout there as he drives away from you out of his pins. A tremendous amount of shape there down his top, I think, and one that's still able to get out and travel and stays fairly elevated in the track and goes to the side. Between second and third, I think it gets a little bit closer. I think for me, this young lady here with this spotted barrow being second, I think one that I think follows up a class winner really good in terms of just having a tremendous amount of stoutness of feature and shape and expression. He's one that definitely, when he gets out and drives, needs to be reassembled there off of his rear too. I think he just gets a little bit too tight and tentative. Like to see him have more flex there in his hock and in his ankle. But that's a bear that I think from a Cardinal standpoint, I think the next best one in the class. Follow up with this young lady's kind of orange Belgian mare to be in third, one that I think structurally probably is a bit of an improvement over that one in second. I think where he kind of falls out of contention for me is just gets a little bit plainer in terms of his shape, a little bit more disappointing when he drives away from you, when he drives at you, wants to close up a little bit more at the ground. And then round out with this young man's barrow here, I think one that has some length and extension and levelness, just from kind of a muscle and power standpoint. That was just too narrow gauge. Needs to be heavier muscle, needs to have more shape and expression. But nice group of bears there.
Congratulations to our Class 1 winners. In fourth, Kaden Ross. Third, Bethany Roberts. Second, Chloe Vaughn. And winning Class 1, Caitlin White. Congratulations. Now we are ready for Class 2.
Class of bears that we have out here, I think, like the last class, I think one though that surfaces to the top really easily and just kind of puts together a combination of things. Be this young lady This young lady's broken belt to Barrow here. One that just really like him in terms of just how square and wide that he's built. One that's just really dense made, has some length and extension there through his body. I think one that's just a good built, stout featured, square made kind of a Barrow that just offers the best combination, I think, in terms of muscle and build in this class. After that, gets a little bit closer, I think, following up with this young lady's Barrow here. One that I like him the best out of the remaining three in terms of his build, his flexibility and athleticism. Like just how kind of fresh and soft he is there through his middle. He's one young lady does a really good job showing him as well. He's one that probably would like to see him come with just a little bit more freshness and shape and expression there, especially over the top side of the skeleton. But one that I do like him in terms of his overall build, his quality, and his center skeleton. Between these final two, the young man's will be third. I think one that really like him when you study him over his top. I think one that's really shapely and expressive there as he drives away from you, stout pinned, and offers some shape and thickness there from behind. One that maybe gets a little bit harder and drier there about his middle, and definitely would like to change him structurally. Just see him get out and reach there a little bit better off of both ends. Young lady that's going to round us out, doing a good job out here. I think a Barrow that just gets a little bit plainer in terms of his shape, gets a little bit more restricted and uncoordinated off of either end of the skeleton. But all four of those young people doing a good job. It's good in the hand.
Congratulations to our Class 2 exhibitors. In fourth place is Eastley Cox. Third, Connor Mims. Second, Blakely Johnson. And winning Class 2, Brooklyn McLeish. Congratulations. Now entering the ring is our Class 3 Barrow Crossbreds. These Barrows weigh 251 to 268 pounds.
It's just really dense and massive and up-headed, still really athletic in terms of how he gets out and goes. Really like him there through the center portion of the skeleton, just in terms of his freshness and shape. I think just a really high-quality barrel. I think fairly logical place to start in this class. I think after that, this young lady here follows us up fairly logically in second. I think a barrel that really appreciate him from the side in terms of his up-headedness, stoutness of feature, really big blade and forearm on him. One that's still, I think, good and comfortable and athletic in terms of how he gets out and goes. One that maybe gets just a little bit harder and flatter there in terms of his rib cage. Might like to just give him a bit more shape and density there. But I think a good quality barrel to go in second. There between third and fourth, I think gets a little bit closer. I think the young man's barrel just comes to us in terms of fundamentals with just a little bit more stoutness and shape and skeletal width and muscularity. What really keeps him in third in this class. And then the young lady that rounds us out, I think a barrel that do appreciate from the side in terms of just his elevation. Has some stoutness there through his forearm and blade. It's just when he comes and goes at you, just needs to be stouter. One that wants to come in there at his hocks when you get in behind him, just needs more muscle there when you get in behind him and on top of him. But four really good quality barrels in a good class for those young people.
Congratulations to our Class 3 Barrow Cross placings. In fourth is Caitlin White. Third, Trace Dowell. Second, Morgan Steele. And winning Class 3, Carson Cage. Congratulations. Now in the ring is a single entry. This barrow weighs 280 pounds.
That really like him when you study him up front in terms of just his stoutness there through his blade and forearm, really clean there through his jaw. One that I think has some width and expression there down his top. Might like to see him match some of that there with just a little bit bigger foot and bone there off of his rear too, and maybe match that with just a little bit more shape and expression there through his stifle. But I think one that's really a good quality barrel single entry this young man brings us. It's got some quality pieces. Out here, I think really been impressed, especially with the showmanship and the presentation on these hogs. Definitely tell these kids have been working with them, fed right, presented right, shown right, skin and hide and hair in good condition, and always get to see that. They do an outstanding job. I guess for me, one though that hit me the hardest, I think, when he hit the gate in his class, it was just really a good quality combination, kind of a barrel that I like. I think checks all the boxes. And it also has some good showroom pieces, so I make a lot of love to bear over the chin.
My brother and sister, they the oldest. They
But it's performed fairly well and good competitive out here in this drive. I guess for me, though, the one that's called that champion for some ways
I'm gonna pay for that foundation, get it rub out, and put the secretary.
Congratulations to our champion cross division winners. Our champion goes to Carson Page out of class 3. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think our reserve champion is Caitlin White from class 1. Congratulations.
Go ahead and start with this young man. I think one that really just like him in terms of just how dense and stout featured and massive that he is. Really like him there in terms of the shape and dimension that he has there over the top side of the skeleton. One that drives away from you, fairly stout and powerful and square. I think one that still like how good and clean that he is there through his jaw and still really elevated there ahead of his weight. Young man does a really good job of showing him. Follow that one up in second with the young ladies. I think one that really liked this barrel there from the side, just in terms of his elevation and his levelness. He's one that maybe when you get down on the top side of the skeleton, maybe doesn't quite have that extra shape and width and mass. Just like to maybe stout him up, maybe give him just a little bit more shape there through the lower portion of his rib cage, but I think one that do really like him just in terms of his design. Then round it out with this young man's barrel, I think one that like him, just in terms of his length and in terms of his extension and levelness. He's one that when he gets out and goes, maybe gets a little bit more tentative there off either end. One that gets a little bit plainer there in terms of his look and plainer there in terms of his shape. But really not sure I'm here out there. So.
The only class of AOB, so our first place and champion is Brooks Crane, second place in reserve AOB, Caitlin White, and third place is Garrett Cox. Congratulations.
I got them two snowballs. Right there.
Starts the class fairly logically between this pair. I think one that's really good quality gilt that's really like her in terms of her design, just really attractive and updated and elevated there ahead of her weight. One that's got some good shape and dimension from there back. I think one that's still like her in terms of how she drives around her ring, still fairly comfortable and athletic. I think just a really nice design for the quality gilt. Man Shelter will be in second, giving him a little bit of trouble. One that definitely loaded with just some extension and some muscle expression. One that is just a little bit harder to drive there about the middle, and one that's not wanting to cooperate with it today. But both those kids are doing a good job.
Congratulations to our Class 6 exhibitors in second place with this itty bitty piggy. is Caden Ross, and in first place is Kinley Vaughn. Congratulations. Entering now is our Class 7 gilt cross. These gilts weigh 171 to 206 pounds.
fairly easy place to start though in this class. I think one that really like her just in terms of her build and squareness and stoutness of feature. Really good in terms of from the side, in terms of how she runs uphill. Big forearm, big blade, a lot of shape. Just a really high quality one to start that class. Young man that's going to come in second, one that really like her in terms of just her stoutness of skull and stoutness of feature and overall dimension as well. You're giving the young man a little bit of trouble, but I think when he's able to get her head up, I think one that has some look and presence. She's one though that just in terms of her skeleton, like to maybe see her move out a little bit looser and more athletic for that young man today, but doing a good job in terms of showing her. Young ladies that's going to come out in third, one that really like her just in terms of how clean designed that she is, one that's got some shape and expression, maybe doesn't just quite have that extra mass and density, stoutness of feature, center skeleton that those two ahead of her do. Young women's gilt that's going to come out next. One that's like her in terms of her foot and bone and stoutness of blade. She's one that I would just like to see maybe match that with a little bit extra dimension and softness there through her center skeleton. Maybe give her just a little bit more freshness and shape there as well. We can get on top of her. Young lady that's going to round out the class. One that's really clean in terms of her design, really attractive and up-headed. One that just gets a little bit drier and harder there through her middle. Doesn't quite have that extra stoutness of feature. Some of those ahead of her like to give her a shot with power as well. A good class.
Congratulations to our Class 7 exhibitors. In 5th place is Caitlin White. 4th, Sandra Roberts. 3rd, Morgan Steele. 2nd, Taylor Jones. And winning Class 7 for the gilt crossbreds is Carson Page. Congratulations. Now entering the ring is Class 8 crossbred gilts. These girls weigh 230 to 243 pounds.
She has brought some really high quality cross gilts out here. Young lady with this thin belted gilt to be your class winner. I think one that really just puts together the best combination in terms of having a good square and athletic build, still offers some good shape and dimension and stoutness, and one that I think from the side, one that I still appreciate in terms of just how good and level and uphill that she's designed. I think one that out of this class just puts together the best combination of those things. Follow it up with this young lady's wide belted gilt, one that really liked just how comfortable and athletic she is there at the surface. She's one that really liked just how dense and massive she is there through the center portion of her body. She's one that maybe doesn't quite have that extra shape and expression to that gilt that beats her. She's one that maybe isn't quite as up-headed and attractive there from the side, but definitely to appreciate the build and density of that one. Young man's black gilt that comes in third, one that definitely has some intriguing pieces. I think one that's really clean and attractive there through the jaw, one that's got some shape and expression. She's one that I think when you study her there through her center skeleton, maybe gets just a little bit flatter and a little bit harder. She's one that I'd like to see her maybe reach out and kind of grab the other gear off of those rear two when she drives and change some of those things about her. I think she's otherwise got some really intriguing pieces. Young man's gilt that comes out next, no doubt one that's just really stout and massive and shapely and expressive. She's one that's kind of where you draw the line on structure. I think she's one that just gets a little bit too restricted and tentative and upright there off of either end. One that when she comes at you for how much chest width she has, I like to see her maybe match that to the ground a little better. But no doubt a really stout, massive, shapely, dimensional kind of a gilt. Next one that comes out, this young lady does a really good job of driving her. One that just kind of runs into a really tough class. I like her in terms of her build. I think a little better than the one ahead of her. She's one that just gets a little bit plainer in terms of her look, plainer in terms of her shape, maybe a little bit further along as far as being one that's a little bit fatter, maybe freshen her up. Young man that's going to round out the class again. A gilt that I think can hold her own in terms of quality. One that maybe gets a little bit untoward, maybe off of either end, a little bit plainer. In terms of the look, a little frailer in terms of the feature, but really good class there.
Congratulations to our Class 8 exhibitors. Placings in 6th place is Brock Booth. 5th is Blakely Johnson. 4th is Brock Booth. 3rd, Brooks Crane. 2nd, Kenzie Steele. And winning Class 8 of the Gilt Crossbreds is Brooklyn McLeish. Congratulations. Now in the ring is Class 9, and there's a single entry.
Out here in the gilt that we definitely appreciate her in terms of just her squareness and stoutness of feature. One that I still think fairly comfortable and athletic in terms of how she gets out and drives. One that we may be getting a little bit stale on us to maybe freshen her up. Gets a little easy there behind her weight, but I think still a good quality gilt. It's got some good pieces. Young man's been doing a good job all afternoon.
Tatum. Bring him over here, buddy. Right now entering the ring is our champion Gilt Cross Drive. From Class 6, we have Kinley Vaughn. From Class 7, we have Carson Page. From Class 8, we have Brooklyn McLeish. Check that gate. And from Class 9, Tatum Jones.
The quality out here in these cross fields, and knew it would be that way when we come up here. I think, again, kind of echo what I said earlier, really impressed with just the quality of the feeding, the showmanship, the presentation on all these. I think still though one gilt that really jumped out to me from there when she hit the gate in the class, this young man here, will have the champion, was getting in the hand. Gets a little bit closer for reserve, but I think it's still a fairly logical decision in my mind. Some lady here, she'll have to reserve. Let's give her a big hand.
Congratulations to our reserve champion gilt crossbred goes to Brooklyn McLeish from Class 8. And our grand champion comes out of Class 7, Carson Page. Congratulations. AOB Gilt. There is only one class, so this will also be your champion drive for AOBs.
nice drive by AOB Guilds that we have out here. Obviously a mixed bag in terms of breeds, but I think still sort out fairly logically in my mind. The young man's guild to be the one that starts us off in this class. I think a guild that just really offers a good combination of just a good quality and athletic build. Still matches that with some extra skeletal width and density, muscularity, and stoutness of feature. Like that guild there from the side as well in terms of her design. Young lady's Chester build that's going to come in second. I think one that I really like as well in terms of her build. Really loose and angular and athletic. One that I think is good and level in terms of her design. Maybe doesn't quite have that extra density and stoutness of feature, especially if she goes away from you. Doesn't maybe like to open that one up, but I still think a good quality guild. Young lady's guild that's going to come in third. This is another one that I think does offer you a little bit of extra mass and stoutness of feature. She's one that maybe just gets a little bit plainer there ahead of her blade. Maybe like to freshen her up and clean her up and just give her a little bit more look and presence and kind of showroom quality. But I still think a good quality guild that's got some good basic pieces. Young man Duroc that comes out next. I think one that, like her in terms of her extra extension and levelness and design, she's one that maybe just gets a little bit too plain, a little bit too flat there in terms of the rib cage, and one that you'd like to open up there off of either end. Young man that's going to come out next, one that's really long body, one that's really good, soft there through the center skeleton. One that just off either end just gets a little bit too narrow for me. One that definitely just needs opened up, needs a little bit more shape, maybe gets a little bit easy on those pastures. Young man's Hampton's going to round out the class. I think one that does have some shape and expression. One that just in terms of structure needs to be changed. She just gets entirely too straight there off either end. Wants to get a little bit rounded there out of her hip as well. But I still think a good quality class.
Congratulations to our AOB guilds. In sixth place with her camp is Brooklyn McLeish. Fifth with a Burke, Knox Golding. Fourth with a Duroc, Garrett Cox. Third with her Burke, Kenzie Steele. Second, Brooklyn McLeish with her Chester. And winning first place in Class 10 and Grand Champion is Trace Dowell with, I think, his camp, maybe his Burke. I missed that. Great. But congratulations, Trace Dowell. We are now lining up for our Grand Champion Market Swan competition.
I'd also like to announce that this is a great time. If those of you who are honorary showing tonight, you can come back to the back of the barn, meet with your showing. They can start giving you some tips on how to go about showing this calf during the show tonight. If you don't know who you're supposed to meet with, your honorary showing, come back here. County agent Greg Tippins back there, you can guide you where you need to go, but come on back and meet with your showman and let them give you some instruction on how to go about showing this calf tonight. We look forward to that honorary showmanship here shortly.
Now entering the ring is our Grand Champion Market Swan competition, representing our Champion Cross, actually our Champion AOB Guild, hold please, is Trace Dowell. Representing our Champion AOB Barrow is Brooks Crane. Representing our Cross Barrow, Carson Page. And representing our Guild Cross is also Carson Page, but being shown by Brock Booth.
Well, let's give a big hand to all these hog exhibitors that we've had this afternoon. I said this a couple times and say it again. I've been really impressed with the quality of the hogs and the kids' ability in terms of working with them. Really definitely has a reputation in this county, I think, for having some real quality livestock hogs, especially. We've always heard about getting to see it firsthand. It's been really fun, impressive, and good to sort through these. Kids have all been extremely respectful. You can tell they're all extremely hardworking. Y'all have quite a bit to be proud of. I guess kind of keep it short as far as the hogs, because I think it sorts out pretty easy in my mind. One that's just really good built, really stout featured, really good looking. Young man's crossbow to be your champion.
Our champion market swine this afternoon goes to Carson Page with his champion gilt.
Young lady brings in that reserve. I think one that really matches the type of kind in terms of that champion really well. We'll go ahead and keep those two together. Congratulations to the reserve.
And the reserve champion goes to Miss Brooklyn McLeish, also from our reserve gilt crossbred division. Congratulations. We are going to take a few minutes and we will let you know what's next on. We will be doing the steer show shortly, and I will give y'all a heads up when that will start. a couple of pigs that have to hit the road immediately to go register for another show. If you're driving a white 4Runner and you are parked in the back where the trailers are, we're going to need you to move that so that the pigs can load up and head out to the next show. show this evening. We will have one class of steer, so there will be 3 in the ring. These steer, our weights are, Miss Keaton has one weighing 1385. Miss Maddie Bentley is showing one weighing 1490. And Miss Farmer has one weighing 1610. I'd like to remind everybody that we are having a Stockman's Quiz sponsored by Young Farmer. This is a competition. It will go on until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. It is open from youth to adults can participate. It is on some tables to the right over here going out the door. Try your skills and see if you know where some of these equipment and other things go with the industry. Of what we're doing tonight, our ag industry. So you'll make your way over there. Miss Allie has set it up. It's for, again, it's sponsored by the Young Farmers. And good luck.
Just 3 series that we have out here for our steer show, but I think 3 that all offer some good quality. Young ladies, black and white steer is going to be the one to start. I think out of these 3, one that just puts together the best combination of having some muscle and some stoutness and all some look and presence. Steer that I really like in terms of the way that his neck comes out of his shoulder, one that's really up-headed and attractive, one that's good and level down his top line when you get it behind the cattle. One that's got some width and squareness and shape now through his quarter and stifle, some red body to go along with that. I think a steer that's still plenty good in terms of how he gets out and travels. One that I think when he's clipped and fit up, I think he look awfully nice. young lady steer that's going to come in second, kind of Angus looking. I think one that really like him from the side in terms of just how he ties his pieces together. Really like how he blends his neck back into his shoulder really good, leveling out his top line. Really soft, mellow, practical kind of a steer that I think is also good in terms of the structure. It's just when you get in behind him is where he falls behind that steer that's going to win. One that just needs to be opened up, needs a shot more muscle and a shot more expression. Then the steer that rounds out the class, one that I think does have the advantage in terms of stoutness of foot and bone over the steer that comes in second. He's one that's got some rib and body along with that. I think one though that maybe just gets a little bit plainer, maybe pushing a little bit more chest, maybe not quite as much shape and expression and power to match that extra foot and bone, but I still think they're good quality steers.
Congratulations to our steer exhibitors. In third place is Miss Maddie Bentley. In second, Keaton Schultz. And winning the steer show this afternoon, so it's our grand champion steer, is Miss Ryan Farmer. Congratulations. The actual show tonight. Entering the ring now is our honorary showmanship. First up, we have Dr. Mary Blackburn, third-time graduate of University of Georgia with degrees in foreign language education, educational psychology, workforce education, and leadership. She brings 30 years of experience to the public education. She began her career in Clark County School District, serving as a teacher and instructional leader, before becoming principal of Malcolm Ridge Middle School, and later the director of secondary education. Her doctoral research examined the impact of CTAE pathway completion on academic achievement, and she is passionate about creating rigorous, relevant learning experiences that prepare students for post-secondary success. Dr. Blackburn lives in Houston with her husband Tony and is a proud parent of 2 adult children and a longtime advocate for animal rescue. Let's welcome Dr. Blackburn to the ring this afternoon. Next up, we have Ms. Gina Roy. Ms. Gina presently serves as the county manager of Jackson County after years of service in public administration, with the past 5 years as assistant county manager for Jackson County. Gina was a Phi Theta Kappa, I did not say that right, graduate from her bachelor's in business administration from Brenau and her master's in public administration from the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. Gina combines this education and over 20 years of experience to manage the people and resources to keep Jackson County great. Ms. Gina grew up in America's heartland, spending her summers in Illinois pollinating hybrid seed corn. Tonight, Gina is exhibiting the heifer shown by the daughter of one of her county commissioners under the tutelage of Haley Elrod, and accompanied by Gina's drive and competitiveness, Gina hopes to garner the coveted winner of the honorary showmanship. Next up, we have Dr. Michael Taves. Dr. Taves is the Associate Dean for Extension in the UGA College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. He leads a statewide team of more than 1,000 cooperative extension faculty and staff, me included, representing 4-H, development, family consumer science, and agriculture and natural resources. Dr. Taves is an entomologist, bugs by the way, by training, and spent 18 years as a professor at the UGA Tipton campus. He is very knowledgeable about stink bugs, thriplets, and other animals that are small enough to hold in your hand. He is not all that knowledgeable about cows or cattle showmanship. I'm allowed to say that, he wrote it, just in case anybody knew that. Dr. Taves stated that his favorite part of working in Extension is watching 4-Hers try new things and develop lifelong skills that simply cannot be taught in the classroom or in a computer simulation. Let's welcome Dr. Taves tonight in the ring with the only steer, I believe. Here is your honorary showman this evening.
All right, so we've got our 3 honorary showmen out here. I just noticed when I was standing over there waiting, I was like, oh, they have a disco ball in here. Yeah, y'all definitely do, so good thing I don't have epilepsy or something like that. That's really neat. So the way we're going to do this, I will go through, so y'all don't have a lot of experience showing, but you should have some experience talking. So we'll see if you can multitask. I'll ask y'all a couple questions. It won't be too hard. All right, so our first contestant, can you tell everybody your name, where you're from, what you do? I know we just said it. Let's think.
Mary Blackburn, I'm the principal of the Empower College and Career Center in Jackson County.
Okay, great. So you have never shown before, or have you? Never done it before. Okay, what's one thing that you've learned about showing from your mentor?
Diva. I learned a lot about Diva. She's a low-key heifer. She's May 2024. She's about 12 pounds a food today, and she is going to be bred.
All right, so it sounds like you study up. Can you tell me what's your favorite steak or cut beef in general? Just you're going to the restaurant or the grocery store or whatever. what's kind of your go-to?
Half this place is laughing right now because I'm the only vegetarian in the whole place. But I did meet my husband at Longhorn Steakhouse, and at that time, I would say it was Emerald.
Okay, yeah, good choice, good choice. So now we'll ask you, seem pretty set up, I'll ask you another knowledge question. So you said this effort is a low key, so key and in. So can you tell us where key and in cattle originated from? And I'll make this multiple choice. Okay, you don't want multiple choice? Let me hear it.
Mary Poppins agreed from Italy.
Exactly right. Let's give her a hand. She's prepared. All right, our next contestant, could you tell us your name, where you're from, what you do?
I'm Gina Roy. I live in Jefferson. I'm becoming editor for Jackson County.
Okay, great. So I'll ask you the same thing, kind of from what your mentor, what were some things that you learned about showing cattle, kind of some things that she told you?
So I'll introduce her. This is Alfred, and she is almost 2 years old, and she is a bred Angus.
Okay, I'll ask you the same thing. Can you tell us where Angus cattle originated from? And I can give you multiple choice if you want. Okay, France, Scotland, China, India.
France?
Pretty close, but Scotland. But good guess, good guess. At least you didn't say China or India. Try to throw some obvious stuff in there. Okay, so I'll ask you the same thing too. What's your favorite cut of beef? Go to a restaurant, grocery store, what's kind of your go-to?
Oh, goodness. Well, I can tell you my husband's is a tomahawk, but mine's a filet.
Okay, yeah, those are both good choices. Yeah, they'll both have some good taste. All right, well, let's give her a hand. I saw him kicking earlier, so we'll be careful. Just again, say your name, where you're from, what you do.
So I'm Michael Tage, Director of Georgia Cooperative Extension. I live in Annapolis.
All right, good deal. And so what's some things you've learned about showing cattle?
Well, number one, it's kind of unpredictable. Yeah, so we have a little bit of an adventure getting in here, but I have this is about a 1,400 pound steer, cross between Angus and Maine.
Okay, good deal. So we just asked about an Angus. So can you say where Maine on June cattle originate from? I can give you multiple choice if you would like. Okay. Switzerland, Germany, United States, or France? Pretty close, France. But that was a good guess. That was a good guess. All right. And so what's your favorite cut of beef? You go to the restaurant, grocery store, what's kind of your go-to?
I'm going straight for the brisket, smoker, about up to 160 degrees on 50% oak, 50% pecan, then wrap it foil for 203, and you're good to go.
All right, he's talking my language. What kind of smoker do you have? Okay, good deal. Yeah, I've actually had one of those too. So yeah, so we got a barbecue man here. That's he's getting some brownie points. All right, so let me ask y'all. We'll make this. We'll get some crowd input. I don't know if I'll do what y'all tell me to do, but we'll ask anyway. All right. Our vegetarian friend. Round of applause. Pretty good. All right. County manager.
Yeah!
Okay. Pretty good. Our entomologist. And barbecue enthusiast. Okay. I think that I agree with y'all. Yeah, really prepared, knowledgeable, answered the question, didn't need multiple choice. Winner.
I would say winner, steak dinner, but winner, avocado
Impossible
dinner.
burger. Tofu.
Congratulations. Dinner chicken winner. We're going to hand the mic over to our fearless Calvin president, Mr. Bo Greasy.
Hey, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and everybody who's a part of this special night. It takes a lot to put this thing on. All the ag teachers, Mr. Burton, Hayden at the ag facility, Ricky Reed, everybody that's involved, and Mr. Marty Clark, everybody. And thank you for all the exhibitors, all the students and sold signs, for all the sponsorships. These things aren't cheap for the shows. And just everybody that makes a donation tonight. After we eat, most of you have probably been here before, but we're going to have a cake auction and sell the steers and the hogs, champion hogs. So make sure you stick around and hook a bit on the cake and maybe some brisket if we have any left over. But I'm going to go ahead and bless this meal. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, Lord, and thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for everybody who's able here to come tonight. And we ask that you just get them home safe, Lord. And we just thank you for this wonderful agricultural business, because this is what it takes. This is just a small glimpse of what it takes to feed the world, Lord, and everything that goes on in agriculture. It's been a tough business throughout the years, but it's also a rewarding business, Lord. And we just ask that you bless this food and nourish my bodies and our bodies to our service. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Amen. And the line starts back here in this center hallway, and you go through the kitchen.